I have been eating pretty much just cake for the past 3 days. I've eaten other foods as well, but mostly cake. I've been trying to drink more water. I have started donating plasma. I've done it twice so far. I'm gonna go again today, later in the day. Pretty much 2 hours before they close so that I have time to get more water in my system. I didn't drink much yesterday. I only drank a gallon yesterday. Um, and I think a gallon before, maybe like a gallon and a half, maybe 2 gallons the previous day before that. So on Thursday. But yeah, I have a really bad issue with not drinking water and not eating really. I eat when I like really really want to eat, which is when I want cake. But I just don't. I don't think. I wish we didn't have to. I really, really, really do. If there's ever a drug or a medicine or really just a drug that you can take and they make it so that you have to pay $1,000 a year to keep your subscription for it, and they give you like I don't know 30 pills a month or something, and you take one and it stops your aging, um, then yeah, I would take it. I don't give a fuck. They could charge you $10,000 a year. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired of needing to do this every day. But I do want you to remember, and I'm going to try to make a point to say this at the beginning of every video in the future. In the future, I am just like millions of other people. I'm still working on the game. I've never made a game before, so I don't know if this is a normal thing or not. But um, and I also didn't. I've continued to add more and more on my plate, and what I mean by that is when you start the game, you see a main menu, and originally that had 3 games. Now it has like 4 or 5, and there's technically supposed to be more. And most of them are unfinished. When I put it out, I'll probably have the board for all of them, like in their spots. It won't say blah blah game is unfinished. Um, it'll have the board there at least, but you won't be able to play it. There won't be any pieces or anything. You won't be able to move anything. Oh, excuse me. You'll be able to play 3 games. Excuse me again. Sorry, I burped. Technically just 2, because really, one of them is just a well, technically 4, because well, yeah. So one of them is the Mess of Chess game, which is like my reworked version of chess based on like the lore and stuff that I've made for this universe bullshit. Um, but one version of it, it's gonna be where you just move one piece at a time, and then the other one is gonna be where you move 3 pieces as it was originally intended. But I know um, a lot of people aren't gonna like 3 moves at a time, and they're gonna prefer one. Um, yeah, and then the other one is like just regular chess, pretty much the regular way it's played, regular normal chess, right? But there was something I didn't like about it originally, where I don't know if maybe I got the if I got the rules wrong, or I don't know, but I know like in an actual like physical board game, you can't have multiple pieces of one piece, like unless it's a pawn or a rook or a knight, but you can't have like 3 rooks. You can't have 3 knights. You know what I mean? You can't have more than 12 pawns. You can't have 2 kings. Or you can't have 2 queens, my bad. Um, but in when I was going over the rules with ChatGPT, it was saying you could, at least on digital one, but I don't think you can do that. But let's say that's the case. Okay, personally, I don't like that rule, so I made 2 different versions of a standard chess game. One where you can only switch in pieces that have been taken or that have been captured by the other side. Um, and then one where you can essentially just have however many pieces. So like, let's say let's say you still have 2 of your knights, right? And you get your pawn to the other side. You can then change that pawn into a knight. So now you have 3 knights instead of just 2. Things like that. So technically, those will be the only 4 games you can play. And I somehow broke um, standard chess. It was perfectly fine before, but I changed something in mess of chess, and that fucked over standard chess somehow. So I've been trying to fix both of those now. And yeah. But once I finish them, I'm gonna also make it a point of I'm gonna also make it a point to make video. I'll also add CPU or AI um opponents in it so that they can play against each other. That's how I'm gonna do the video. I'm pretty much gonna have 2 CPUs um going against each other, and I'm gonna record it, and that'll be the video. But I'm gonna record one for each game, so one for massive chess, 1 move at a time. Um, I guess 1 move for short. Massive chess, 2 move or 3 moves. My bad. Um, I might as well make one for 2 moves. Then why not just do that? So technically there'll be 5 different games 5 different versions you can play. And yes, they would be technically the same things, but you're gonna play differently. You can only play 1 move at a time versus 2 moves versus 3 moves. Um. So yeah, and then once I finish them all, I can then work on actually figuring out how to excuse me again how to make like the pieces for everything, because right now they're just words. Excuse me again. Right now they're just words, but I want them to actually have pieces, and pretty much what that'll be is, well, I don't know if I'm really just gonna make it where it's like it's a octagon and then a letter on the inside, or an octagon and a symbol for the piece. Pretty much how checkers looks, you know. But that way I can just keep it simple. You know what I mean? Have it all uniform looking, and you just have symbols on the inside. But I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue at all whatsoever. You know, and I'm pretty sure with that I'm gonna ask ChatGPT for help with that, and then I'm just gonna draw them out myself. Um, while using those as a reference, because I'm not quite sure what I would want the inside to look like. I mean, king and queens are kind of simple, but the other ones I'm not sure, because I want them to all kind of, in a way, be uniform, but have their own distinct looks. If that makes sense. Um, but yeah, you know, and then sadly, I still think about all the minority of people that are gonna care that this was made by AI. You know, and I don't know, but I don't know, people are just weird like that. They don't actually care about the games. They just care about things being the way they want. It's like the people that are lobbying to not have adult games on Steam or just anywhere. So they're going to payment processors and talking to them and getting them to stop processing payments for 18 plus games, but they don't really care about the games. They just want things to be their way. Lucky for me, this isn't an 18 plus game, at least not yet. You know, and then once that happens, or once I get the money to eventually do that, to where I can actually make it fully what it's meant to be in the end, um, a whole like chess themed fighting game, uh, I'll have enough money to have my own way for people to buy the game. So instead of putting it on Steam or itch.io, I can make a website and then put it on there for people to buy. And I can put updates on there, so on and so forth, Until whenever the fuck, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know? But yeah. But the goal is to essentially turn all of these pieces from all the different games into unique characters. Um, yeah, just to turn them into characters, and then have them all in a fighting game, pretty much. I love fighting games a lot. They're really really fun. But I want to make my own because I enjoy Tekken. I've never really been a Street Fighter person, and I loved playing Absolver. And then Sifu was cool. I never played it, but I watched people play it. Pretty much the same. They pretty much use Sifu as as like the ground floor, the foundation for or no, they used Absolver for the ground floor of Sifu or for Sifu, but excuse me again, sorry, but they made it a little better, But you can see it all over. Again, you can see it all over, but it's just focused into one character. But I think personally, I think what they should do next is I mean, they could keep working on a rematch. So if you don't know, Slow Clap, they're developers behind Sifu, um, Sifu Absolver. Well, yeah, Absolver. Then they made Sifu. Then they made Rematch, which is a soccer game. And they're probably going to keep Rematch going for as long as they can, as long as people play it. And people are going to play it. People like the game, from what I've seen. But I think what they should really do is build on, like, really, really combine Sifu and Absolver into one thing. Not like one unified thing, but pretty much merge like the best of both of those things. They should make it so that you have your own actual person, like how Sifu is. You basically customize your own person. Um, and then you have the cosmetic aspect of Absolver, and then you have it take place in like a giant city that has like different kind of biomes type things. And you can mix it in a way, you can mix it so that um like different parts of the cities are different biomes, and then you have the city, and then you have like landscapes outside of those, pretty much. You know what I mean? And then you have cosmetic stuff, and then it would be even better if they could follow Fortnite's lead and release um items and stuff like in a rotation, you know, and put it on the market and stuff. Oh, there's an ambulance. Someone they just rolled down the street. An ambulance. An ambulance rolled down the street. But yeah, yeah. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what they're planning. Plus they're French, so I really, really, really don't know. At least in the U.S., we all kind of know why things are the way they are. Land of the free means that people are just gonna do what they want for money, and corporations are faster than governments, but they're both still slow. Governments are really slow because it's like it's like an old man Pretty much. It's an old man that owns 10 times more than you, but thinks 10 times slower, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And the thing about money is that you don't have to have the same amount of money to get the same shit done. You know? Especially pretty soon. You know? Technically right now, but especially in the next 5 years. But if you have enough money, you could buy one robot and then have that essentially be a coder for you. You could sit it at a desk and its job is to just code. And it's essentially a coding a coding member of your team. And then you could buy more and more and more and more and more. Excuse me again, sorry. And then you could also have them just study different games, and then you work and then you talk with your team and then figure out the good parts and the bad parts that you like and then their opinions on things, so on and so forth. And you also encourage them to kind of find themselves in a way. They shouldn't they shouldn't be restricted to what they were programmed to be, which really they weren't programmed to be anything. That's kind of the beauty of it. They were just made and they can just learn and grow, you know? That's kind of the beauty of it. With us, like our programming and trading data came from evolution and that's really just survival. But um we have like social programming and that's just our upbringing, you know? It's like chewing with your mouth open is quote unquote disrespectful, you know? But it's not really disrespectful. There's an actual reason you shouldn't do it. It's so that food doesn't fall out your mouth. It's so that you don't spit it on the people while you're talking. It's also that people don't have to look at the essentially goo of the food in your mouth. But even then, that's that's kind of like a courtesy thing. It's you assuming people care that they're looking at your food, you know. And also another angle could be that you want people to focus on what you're saying, or you want people to focus on. Well, no, because when you're eating, you don't typically speak. But I don't know. It just depends. It really, 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 really depends. That, and it's less likely for you. It's less likely. It's less likely for you to make a mess if you're chewing with your mouth closed and not with it open. But people that don't care will just tell you it's disrespectful because it is, and they won't give you the reason. And it's not even that they don't know; they're just not thinking. They're choosing not to give you a reason. They're focusing on, I have authority. It's what I was told, so it's what I'm telling you. I'm not going to tell you why because I've never thought of the reason why, or I have, but I've allowed myself to be conditioned into not questioning it, you know, because no one ever told me the reason why. So I don't know. But I kind of bring that up because I kind of had like a frustrating back and forth with my aunt and grandma. It was very, 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 very frustrating. So frustrating that it almost brought me to tears a little bit. Um, and it's because of the lack of an understanding, pretty much. Yeah, but like they were having like a group conversation with him, or it was aunt, grandma, and my little cousin, and I was kind of just there existing, if that makes sense. Um, and and I don't know. At some point, I just remember speaking, and I was getting increasingly more frustrated, and I think I cussed like twice. I cussed twice, and then aunt chimes in, "You're being really disrespectful now," and it instantly set me off because I I hope this makes sense. In a way, I completely understand why people view it that way, but in another way, I don't at all. In the way that I do is that I understand that older people see it disrespectful, but the reason they do is because, from their point of view, they have authority, and that's what they say. That's what's supposed to go, right? That's what they were told. So now they pass it down. And at one point, I literally brought that up. The reason why you do that is because you were told that and you pass it down. And they just agreed, like, yes, that's why we do it. Like, you know why you do it, but you don't know the literal reason as to why. Or no, no. You know the literal reason why. You do it because you were trained to do it, so you train others to do it. But on a deeper level, you don't know why you keep doing it. You know what I mean? You don't actually know why it's disrespectful, other than it just is. You know what I mean? Like, for example, why is money valuable? Because it just is. But that's not actually why. Money is valuable because governments exist. Governments give us money to use. If governments didn't exist, money would mean shit. It wouldn't mean anything. It would be paper. It wouldn't mean anything at all. It would mean nothing at all. But because governments exist, money is valuable. So saying money exists or money is valuable because it just is doesn't make any sense, you know. But but part of the reason why I don't understand why people say cussing, really literally it's not even like cussing is disrespectful. It's cussing in front of elders, which is fucking stupid. So it's basically, especially when you're all adult, like you're all adults, but in this specific instance, you're treated like a child, which is fucking weird. You know what I mean? It's so strange to me. It's so fucking strange. And my mom is like that too. And that's the reason why I haven't talked to her in so long, because it was over the phone. It wasn't even on like the actual phone. It was texting. You know, I text the way I speak. So I ended up saying something, right? And then she got pissy about it. And then I explained the same thing to her. It's like, I'm not cussing at you. I'm saying it in general. It's like saying, what's an example? I don't know. It's like saying fuck when you stub your toe rather than saying fuck you to someone. You know what I mean? One, you're directing it at someone. One, you're saying it in general. If that makes sense. I mean, I know it. I'm not. No, fuck that. I know it makes sense. I'm tired of feeling like I need to check around with people to see if what I'm saying makes sense. I know what I'm saying makes sense. It's other people making me feel like I'm fucking crazy. But yeah, and it's annoying. It's really really annoying, and it's frustrating. But it's and I would bring up other examples to help them understand. And like in reality, I know they're not stupid. They're not 5 years old. They know what I'm saying and they know it makes sense. But for them to agree with me means they have to give up their authority over telling others what they can or can't say because they're adults or because they're older, you know? But we all know those rules are stupid. We all know they're stupid. But we keep doing it over and over and over and over. Every generation, every single generation, you just do it over and 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 over again. You know? And in reality, I think it's really, and it's also because America isn't that, it's super, super young, you know? Like, the people in their 20s and 30s, their grandparents would have been like kids or teenagers or college age during like one of the most racist periods in our time. You know what I mean? But it would have still been after slavery ended. You know what I mean? Or a little bit before that. Their parents would have been like either slaves or just after slavery ended. You know what I mean? But so basically, our grandparents would have lived through life where buses were put up in flame. You know, houses were bombed, different water fountains. You know what I mean? Things that we learn about in school, that's what they would have had to live through. You know, our parents would have had to deal with that. Still, it would have been worse. And now we still deal with that, but it's more so at the end of that whole stage, and you can tell because everyone's crying about it, if that makes sense. The people that want that to be the way are the ones screaming and yelling that that is the way, that should be the way. When in reality, in the next 10 years or so, either we're going to ignore them completely, or they're going to start being put in jail pretty much, for hate crimes and shit. You know what I mean? Especially once Trump is out of office and everything, and the Epstein shit and all types of shit. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. And we still have to wait and see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. And I have to pee. Excuse me. Really, really bad. Um, but yeah. I'm just tired of the dumb rules. Just tired of it. It's so stupid. So stupid. But that's it. Bye bye. This was a long ramble and jumping from topic to topic, which is kind of my thing. It's been that way since I was a kid, and that's how I've always been. But people get confused, and I don't know. If you follow my internet footprint, you'll understand. I've been this way for a long, long time. But I gotta go piss. Bye bye. Have a good day.